that not what I'm, wait, okay. Who is logged in as Trillium Employment Massachusetts? Because I logged in with the Trillium account, which is what it was set up with. Christina.
It looks like it's recording. I see the little dot blinking.
Oh, okay. So maybe, oh, I get it. Okay, cool. Yeah, it might be just because it turned 1 o'clock, which is when it's supposed to start. So, forgive me for any of the email notifications that pop up. Part of what I'm going to show today is going to be about how to send invites, especially if you're using a paid account. If you are logging in, please make sure that you're muted. What a turnout this is. How's everybody's isolation going? Yeah, not a lot of smiling faces about it. I understand. Well, I'm glad a lot of you guys could come here. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Ashton out of our Clark office. I'm fairly familiar with using Zoom just due to being the previous Lunch and Learn coordinator, presenting through Zoom, and then also building presentations that I upload to YouTube using Zoom as well. So Christina asked me if I would do a Lunch and Learn on it. So just to get started, and if you prefer to type into the chat section or just chime in, I wanted to ask everybody if you have any like fears or burning questions or unknowns with using Zoom that we can kind of use that I can touch on during this training.
Well, I prefer you don't touch anybody, but other than that, I said I'd prefer you don't touch anybody, but I had to throw that in there. No, I want to know, I mean, I do some Zoom stuff, but I know you're really good at it, so I'm just here for all of it.
Cool. I see in the chat how to share videos with sound. That's something that I have in my notes to cover. I don't know how to get Lindsay to Disney, unfortunately.
Oh, your email didn't go through. I had bremerton100@papaquiz.com.
Hey, Jamie, could you mute yourself?
Sorry.
It's okay. Anybody else have are there any fears about using Zoom that you guys are just like, I seem to see this technical difficulty, or I'm super afraid of this happening and seeming overly incompetent when presenting, should you present, or in a meeting?
Ashton, this is Michelle King. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I have a couple of questions that I'm hoping you cover. So one thing that I want to make sure I know how to do is if I am hosting and I'm having somebody else join, that they can share their presentation. It doesn't have to be the host that is the holder of any PowerPoint or any type of video material that they want to share.
Okay.
And then, well, I guess that's the only one for right now.
Okay.
I thought I had a lot more questions, but that's the main thing. If I'm the host, can other people be the presenters?
Gotcha. The answer is yes. And I will try and touch on that. And then also in the chat, there are a couple of others. Where do you get the videos after they've been recorded, and how do you send them? Cool. So great. Unless anybody else has anything, I'll give 5 seconds to chime in, and then
one more question.
Sure.
I learned yesterday that some people have their own personal Zoom that they've been using.
Mm-hmm.
Are you covering that?
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the free accounts as well as paid accounts, which would be, there's now exciting one per county. So there's a Clark paid account, there's a Pierce, a Kitsap, a King, and then there's the Trillium one that I'm currently logged into. So I'll talk about the differences between those.
Great.
Cool. Going once, going twice. Cool. So just to, give a little bit more information on Zoom. Why Zoom? Obviously, it's making our ability to connect not just with one another right now, but with our clients or potentially employers or potential employers as well, to get more face-to-face interaction while we're all supposed to be tidied up at home. I personally feel like phone meetings don't necessarily work for me. It really helps to, see what people are trying to express. And then, like I touched on, I really love using Zoom to create, if I'm creating videos that are for a presentation. Or so for an example, for the positive behavior support training that I went through, we were tasked to create a module on a specific topic. And so I created the PowerPoint presentation, and then I was able to record myself going through the PowerPoint presentation, upload that to YouTube, so that it could then be a shareable link and something that people could go back to. So there's some pretty handy stuff that you could do with Zoom. It's relatively easy to use, and it's a great resource for us. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And the first thing that I do want to point out is that if anybody's ever, can you guys see my calendar real quick?
Yep.
Cool. Is that if you guys ever do want to get more information on Zoom, zoom.us is the website, and they have a whole resources tab. So one thing that I realized recently, and I thought about like going over, downloading your personal account. I figured anybody that's in this training, considering that we're all separated now, is going to have their own. I decided not to go over that, but one thing that I did find here is that there is this Zoom plugin for Microsoft Outlook. It's a really fast download that you can do, and it shows up in your banner right here, so that you could just start a meeting and invite somebody right from Outlook. I haven't had the opportunity to use it too much recently, but it's something I'd assume that for scheduling purposes, just having it right there inside of your Outlook, and where you could see your calendar, you find the day that you want to plan, and then going to scheduling and going through the login from there would be super streamlined in a sense. So that was one cool thing that I found. And then if you are going to download your personal account, Russ, you were talking about that, or if you're someone that's here in this Zoom meeting that is currently logged in under somebody else's, the Zoom client for meetings is the one that you can log into, or I'm sorry, download. You could also do it via the website. Personally, when I've tried to use the website before, it seems a little awkward. It doesn't seem as straightforward to me. So downloading Zoom client for meetings from the zoom.us/download is going to be the one to do. So touching on to the paid account versus personal account. So I have a personal account. It's using my email, Ashton at Trillium. I don't have any way to log in and show you like any sort of difference. It's going to show up just the same as if you logged into a, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now since I'm not going over anything real quick. Is that, so there are some bonuses for having a personal account. One is that you still have a record option. The difference between the paid and the personal free account is that the paid accounts have it so that when you record, it gets uploaded to the cloud. You could choose between the cloud and local onto your computer. And the advantage to having that option is that if you're going to be recording an hour or 2 hour long meeting or something, that the amount of time that it takes to download that onto your computer locally is going to be a lot of time. It's going to slow things down. So that's where a paid account comes in handy. Now, if you're doing a recording of yourself that is like for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that's not going to be too cumbersome on your computer to where you could do that and download it locally and then do whatever you need to do with it. Another advantage to having the free one is that if you're just having a meeting with one other person, there's really no limitations on what you can do. It's when you start having meetings that have 3 or more people. Meetings with 3 people or more, it's going to limit you to 40 minutes. So that's going to put a time limit on what you're going to be able to discuss. If you're just talking one-on-one with somebody, or if you're just opening up a meeting so that you can record, there's no listed time limit for that. If you're going to be having a meeting that is 3 people or more and you're anticipating needing an entire hour or more, or if you're going to be recording something, if it's yourself giving a presentation or something, and you're needing to record for a good amount of time, that's where using the paid account is going to be more beneficial for you. Aside from that, really the features that you'll experience within Zoom between the paid and the free account they're the exact same. You're not going to see any difference in how things are laid out, or whether or not you could share with somebody, or any of the different fun tools that are available for you to use. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Cool. So regarding the question, where do you get videos after they've been recorded, and how do you send them? So if you are logged into, things are going to be a little bit different now, considering that with the paid accounts that you are going to, if you log into a paid county account, so if I log into the paid Clark account, there's going to be a whole different login for that. I know when I've used the paid Trillium account, the info@trillium.org email login, whenever something gets uploaded into the cloud, Janice or Nikki, they're usually pretty good about letting me know that there's a recording that is ready. And then you could go to the Zoom website and log in from there and go to view the recording. So I can show you what that looks like right now. So if I come here to Zoom and I go to sign in, these are all of the recordings that are available. Now, some of them you see are named, some of them you see are not named. I'll go through how you can schedule a recording and where you can actually change the name. So if you're using a paid account, it will really make it easy to tell which one's yours, so that you're not trying to download something that's not yours, or accidentally delete something or whatnot. I'm trying to see here. So it doesn't look like, go back. Any of them might be ready for download. Logging in here, you do have the ability to watch them within the web browser, but then you can also download them. If it's a lunch and learn recording, unfortunately, I don't have the ability to show you since I'm not connected to the server, but on the server, there is a lunch and learn under like the training folder in the server where you can find the lunch and learn recordings, and that's where videos are going to be dropped in there. If it's a training that you're part of, or it's something that's outside of the lunch and learn and how you view them, you would either need to wait for the notification once everything's complete, having the login information that was sent out to everybody, and I can also send that out post this training of what the login information, but this is info@trillium.org, and then the password is trill83 ! So no secrets there. And then, like I said, everybody should have gotten a county like specific paid account. Any questions on where you can view them? Going to the chat here. The chat's not popping up. Where is it?
You can't see your chat?
No, I'm trying to find it.
Oh, well, Emma posted something.
Sure, if you could read it.
The Lunch and Learns will be uploaded to the YouTube account as well.
Ooh.
And links will be sent out just like the Advanced JD Series Zoom meetings.
Cool, thank you, Emma, and thank you, Russ, for reading that for me. Awesome. So to show you guys how you can schedule a meeting with Zoom here. So this is going to be, I'm going to go to home to start from the beginning. So the same if you are, this looks the same across if you're using a personal free one or if you're going to be using any of the paid accounts. It's no different. You have the ability to go in and schedule and send invites out. So if you want to schedule, you click on schedule. Up here under the topic, when I referred to the different titles that you could give them, that's where you would make it to be specific to what the training is going to be or what your presentation is going to be. So I'll put Ashton's demonstration invite. And then here is where you can choose your date and your time, the amount of time allotted. And then, so there's some extra functions that you may or may not care to use for security purposes. If you're talking about a client, maybe it might be ideal to use a meeting password, or if you're doing like a PCSP kind of a thing, I could see that as being a reason to use a meeting password. These are completely optional to how you want to set it up. So this is just what happens when I log in. So the host having the video on or off, it's completely up to you, participants on or off. The audio as well. And then here's the option for which calendar you want to do the invite. And then down here, we have advanced options. So this is kind of, again, up to your discretion, but muting participants upon entry is a good option, just because if, we're 5 minutes in and, people are coming in and there's a lot of crazy background noise where they're at, that's going to be, it's going to be less disruption for everybody else. And then enabling to join before host. I personally like that option just because I've tried to go to Zooms and it says the host is not here yet, and you're just sitting there looking at this box and kind of ticking down the time until the host actually joins. So then going to schedule, it's going to pull up Outlook here, and the title goes into what the title of the email is. All the information that anybody would need for the meeting is going to be in the body. You can add attachments here if you want to. So when I would send out Lunch and Learn invites, a lot of times the flyers that I would make, I would just drop right into here and then customize customize the message to talk more about what the lunch and learn was going to be. So you can add a lot more information here than what it just by default is going to provide. From there, it's just like any other type of reminder that you're, or meeting or appointment that you're going to schedule inside of Outlook.
Ashton, can you, I know you can't go back, but when you were on the previous screen and you were talking about all of the different options, one of the options was record automatically. Do you know if the recording function starts recording at the time the meeting is scheduled for, or at the time the first person hops on?
That's a good question. I feel like it's at the time that it's scheduled for. Just because,
So
like,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was saying, because if I don't know if you were here like right at the beginning, I was like sitting there hitting the record button, like it's not going.
Right.
And then right at 1 o'clock, Margaret said, well, the little red button is flashing. So I think it has to do with when the meeting's actually supposed to start.
So because I ran into the same trouble you did when I was doing the advanced JD series. We didn't record because we were trying to push the button and it never recorded. So I know. So going in, is that, I mean, the recording function is the one that scares me. That's my fear, is the not being able to record thing.
Yeah. So one thing that I am seeing on my bar right now, so I've got, and unfortunately you guys can't see this, I've got this black bar that's across, and on the left it has mute to where I can mute you guys. I can do some video options. It shows participants, how many are here, all that stuff. And then right below it, there is a green bar where if I hover over it, it tells me recording to the cloud. So there should, if you are recording, it should tell you while you're in there, I'm currently recording right now. I know what that feels like, and it's scary.
Hey, Ashton.
Yeah.
It's Linda.
Hi, Linda.
I pushed the record button for you because I am I'm the host based on.
Oh, okay.
And so until the record button's pushed, it doesn't record. So Michelle, that might have happened with you, as the record button wasn't getting pushed.
So where are you, what login did you use, Linda, to log into Zoom?
Yeah, the main Trillium login that I got from Nikki. It's the one I use for TNT, and so that's just the one that.
Okay. So is the email address info@trillium.org?
Yes. Okay.
So this is another thing that I want to touch in on. This is perfect for everything that we're talking about. You're seeing live troubleshooting. So a really big important reason for everybody to go in and set up their own personal account is because the people that are, this is where you can start to see those recording issues that happen. And people can get bumped from meetings if you're logging into a paid account, and it can create issues. And nobody likes to be like in the presenter seat and going, I don't know why this is happening, I swear I'm a competent person, and trying to figure out while all these faces are watching them. And not to I'm not trying to shame you at all, Linda, in front of everybody. I'm just trying to really emphasize that this is a perfect example of why everybody having their own free account would make everything super as seamless as possible, is what I should say. And on that note, one thing that I did want to touch on is I did send out the to-do for everyone to go in and add the Zoom to the Zoom calendar to their calendars. Did everybody get a chance to do that? Cool. So the big reason for that is because in order to, it's possible for you to log in and bump somebody in a meeting while they're logged in. And so the only way for us to know if somebody is actually in a meeting using that paid account would be to go to the Zoom calendar, and you could see there's a one-on-one here for whomever. So that would tell me that if I were trying to, and this is a totally different day of the week, by the way, if I were trying to do something personal, like, you know, record myself for a presentation kind of a thing, or if I wanted to even schedule something for someone, if you see somebody that has their time blocked out there, then you should not be logging in to schedule anything. You shouldn't be logging into that paid account at all. It's already in use and you run the risk of bumping somebody. Now that we all have our paid county ones, it might still be in the works where your county might need to still set up and send out either the calendar, or it might show up under rooms. I know Margaret had asked about if rooms was also an option. You'll see the Zoom calendar is under rooms for me, but the Clark Zoom calendar is under just shared calendars for me. So I could log in and see, oh, nobody's allotted any time for themselves. So the step, you know, the first step of using a paid account would be to, one, check the calendar that it's associated with and see if anybody's there in use. If you're looking at it and you're like, I really need to schedule something with somebody, and right now it's showing that, you know, people have that time block scheduled out, then it'd be best for you, even if you're just going to schedule something for a later date, to plug in time to where you're going to be using that paid account, so nobody else logs in while you're trying to use it. And then if you schedule a meeting or recording, whatever you're going to be doing, make sure that you add that separate time block as well. So does that make sense? If you're going to schedule something, block out the time that you're planning on going in, logging in, and scheduling that thing. And then whenever your meeting is due to happen, schedule out that time block as well. Cool. Any questions about that? All right. Another thing that I wanted to talk about were are some common issues that I've encountered, and one of them coming up about sharing the video sound question that was in the chat. Trying to figure out how I could show everything here. We'll do this a different way. So what I want you guys to do is actively participate in, oh, there's a chat. It just came up for me. But what I want you guys to do is actively participate on your computers with what I'm going to walk you through. So the first thing that I want to talk about is like some audio issues. How many of you have ever logged into a Zoom and have said, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And everybody's like, pretty frequent. Yeah, cool. How many of you feel like you're an expert at troubleshooting that? No, cool. You're in the right place. So what I want you to do is on your own computers, I want you to hover over your Zoom until you can get your little microphone to appear at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And once you do that, you should see a either like an arrow that you can hover over that will expand a menu. Are you guys seeing this? Yes, yes, cool. So do you guys see where for microphone and speakers, it says same as system?
Yeah.
Cool. So if the first thing to always double check is to make sure that it's set up as same as system. I know in Clark, we have like an external mic device that we'll plug in sometimes if we need to hear the audio and show video on our screen because of how, like what the distance is. And when that's plugged in, I've had it where I've plugged that in to be in a meeting that I'm recording. And then for whatever reason, the next time that I go into a meeting, nobody can hear me. And it's because that setting didn't reset itself or need to be manually changed back to same as system. That is aside from the fact that I have myself muted and I haven't noticed that I've muted myself, that's largely the issue that I've encountered around why people are unable to hear me. Does that sound pretty easy as far as troubleshooting goes? Cool. Let's see, the other one. So the other question came up with sharing, and this again is going to be something where you're going to have to follow along with me step by step. So if you are going to be sharing a video, like a video clip, say you're doing a lunch and learn and a video clip is part of your presentation, and you want to make sure the audio is coming through for your listeners. Where you see the new share button, it's green and it has an arrow. You guys are seeing this. It should be on that same panel where the microphone was. Cool, you clicked it. So now you have all these options. At the bottom, underneath or to the left of where it says share, you're going to see two boxes. One says share computer sound and the other says optimize for full screen video clip. Now you could do one or the other. Whichever one that you pick, it's going to automatically select the share computer sound. If you choose optimize for full screen video clip, it's going to automatically do the share computer sound because it's optimizing for it. If you're like playing an audio clip and it doesn't have a video to go along with it, maybe you're just looking at a picture, that's where you could do the share computer sound. But if you just go ahead and click the optimize for full screen video clip, it'll click in both. And that's how it's going to make it so the end user is going to hear the sound that is coming from your computer when you play a video. Good?
Can you stop sharing for just a second so we can try it out ourselves?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. So has everybody had a chance to find those buttons at the bottom? Looking at, cool. So the other one, I'm trying to think of how the YouTube video itself I meant. Jennifer, could you mic in and expand more?
Sorry, I was just saying, I went to share a YouTube video. So I clicked on it, shared the screen and everything. And I didn't realize that when I started the video, there's actually like a YouTube video sound option. You have to click the sound on the video itself. So I thought it was something with Zoom, but it was actually just a video.
Yeah, so that's another thing to, check, just like with our, our mics and us conferencing back and forth with one another. It's sometimes the easiest thing to overlook is whether or not the computer itself is muted or if you've muted yourself on accident. Those are always the best things to double check, is if the sound option that you have right there on the computer or on YouTube itself are causing the issue. So another one that came up was participant sharing. So now, correct me if I'm wrong, just because I've been talking about a lot of different things. When you said participant sharing, you're talking about a participant in the training being able to share something. Is that right? Who said that? Sorry, I didn't write down your name. Nobody? Okay. So if nobody's going to jump in on that, you guys should have the ability to be able to share as well. So just to call out somebody directly. Jen Ham, are you still in here? No. How about Amy? You're there. Can I call you out, Amy?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so are you seeing with the share option where you'd be able to share your screen with us?
Yeah, so that's just like the blue one that pops up right away. That's the screen.
Yeah.
Did that work?
That worked perfect. So, and then you can exit sharing if you want to. Thank you. So yeah, so you could see that even though I am the one presenting and I can opt to share my screen, if you have, you know, let's say Amy and I are leading a training and we're at different locations and she has aspects that she wants to show from her computer, we don't have to be like in the same room to be doing it. She can share her screen as well, so that everybody can see it. Are there any questions there so far? No? Okay, so I want to go back here. So as I'm thinking about it now, the question did come up about if somebody else could be assigned as the host. Again, I apologize, but who asked that question originally?
I think it was me, Michelle and King.
Michelle. So I know that it is possible because when I was the Lunch and Learn coordinator last year, I had set up someone who presented externally as being a host off the top of my head because it's not something that I have done. I feel like I would be like poking around through settings to figure it out. Mm-hmm. It is possible though. What was it in here? So yeah, here. So you could do record the meeting automatically, and plugging in their email address is going to allow them to be the alternative host. And the important thing about that is that that means that, say, you know, I'm a host because I send out the invite and everything, and hitting record, the recording should not end upon, you know, me exiting, and the meeting should not end upon me exiting. It allows the meeting to keep going. So you should be able to just plug in their email address here to be able to do that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see. Are there any other questions that anybody has? I've gone through the list of things that were pretty common that I experienced. Are there any other things that anybody else has?
That's a question, but people started typing right away. How do you set it up so that whenever you have a slide up, people can annotate and like answer a question that way, like more interactively than just using the chat? Do you know?
So that's a great question. I have done the annotating, and it should be, let me look here. Video settings. That is a great question. I know that when I go to like share something, I see the annotating, but without like being able to, unless somebody were to share their screen with me right now and I were to like, that would be something that I just literally have to poke around through. The one thing that I probably refer you to would be to go to the zoom.us, just because it does have so many different options there. Like in just, preparing for this, I went through and I played around with the annotation, but that was just from the presenter view. So I'm not exactly 100% sure or confident what that looks like from a participation view. So there's a question in the chat. I have a question. When I sent an invitation Zoom meeting over the phone, they got an invitation email, but it did not show on their calendar. Do you know why? I wonder, so I haven't had any issues where that's happened. It could be there. Sometimes you still need to make an invite. I was also going to say I haven't personally had this issue, but I know several people, at least in the Clark office, have had the issue where sometimes your phone app and your calendar are just not syncing as well. So it could be that. It could be, and it could be also what Jennifer Ham was saying in the chat. Sometimes you still need to make an invite. I don't really know. It sounds like there's like a connectivity issue there that would be a little bit more beyond just using Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Christina, in the share options, there's something called whiteboard. Maybe, is that what you're looking for, Ashton? No. So, I mean, whiteboard's pretty fun in that, like, it brings up a whiteboard that you could doodle on and everything. But there's the option of like, I can't do anything outside of that whiteboard, essentially. I can't, or wait, yes, I can't do anything outside the whiteboard. There is an option though where you could have like your email up or a presentation up where you'd be able to, use these stamps and click on things. And with the whiteboard option, it's only letting me use the whiteboard. Let's see. Click account management, account settings, click the meeting tab under the meeting. Well, I'll click out of whiteboard, but that's what whiteboard looks like for you guys. Or wait, I'm not sure. Or I was sharing, sorry. Advanced, let's see. Files, no. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling around a little bit. I get into this like techie mode where I want to figure it out. But Morgan Duffy in the chat, she did find some written instructions to where you could do the annotation is enabled option. And rather than look like I'm fumbling through things, I'm going to task you all that if you want to figure out how to use that option to go ahead and to follow those instructions. And then I'm going to put the, whoops. So zoom.us. There are, under that resources tab that I had shown you guys, there are videos for how to do a lot of things too. So just I'll go back to it real quick to show you guys. So I'm going to sign out. Zoom.us. Under resources, there's video tutorials that can show you how to do a bunch of different things. And then, I mean, aside from that, YouTube generally has. It's a great resource. A lot of people will post videos that are up there for anybody to view for free, and you're more than likely going to be able to find something that is about doing annotations, about anything that you could do with Zoom. If you don't feel comfortable with even how to like set up your own free account for Zoom and download it, you can find a video on YouTube for it. I know that because I searched for YouTube videos before we actually started this training, so they're there. Yeah, somebody's scribbling on the screen. Anybody see that? Just me? Okay.
I saw it.
Are there any other questions that you guys have? Anything else feature-wise?
So basically, you're suggesting that we all get a personal Zoom account, and so then when we join meetings, we go to that one.
Yeah, especially now that we're all working remotely. The paid accounts, I mean, they're super helpful, but what we're generally going to be doing on our day-to-day, you know, for attending meetings and whatnot, we could do with just a free account. We wouldn't need to be logged into a paid one. Generally speaking, the only time that I have personally used a paid account is if I'm hosting, like on a Lunch and Learn, I'm scheduling, like with a Lunch and Learn, or if I've needed to record a video that is going to go up into the cloud so that it's not taking up a lot of my computer space downloading locally. So the personal account is going to make it so you're not fighting with anybody, like Christina said, for time slots. You're going to have access to it all the time, and you're not going to run into what we saw live, where there was some uncertainty with whether or not it was recording in the beginning. You're going to know exactly who's going to be logged into which account. It's going to make it a lot easier for everybody. There are some other fun features that I don't know if you noticed. Some other folks that have participated are they have figured out how to use a virtual background. It doesn't really work out too well if you don't have a solid background, but you have some options for changing up the background. This one's a little bit better. Looks like I'm in outer space. And you can do that by, if you go to the video icon, there's that, that arrow that points down, and then you can select choose virtual background. That's going to be under paid or unpaid accounts. Some other video settings is that if you go to that drop down, and I will say this in that I haven't tried it with a free account, is that so if you choose that arrow under the video icon and you go to video settings, there is an enable HD and touch up my appearance. So if you are doing any sort of recording and you want to look your very best, I would highly recommend clicking those two buttons as well. Let's see. So yeah, just to touch on what came through in the chat, Morgan and Amy both said, and we mentioned that before, that if you're doing 3 or more people with a paid account, or with a free account, sorry, 3 or more people with the free account, you only have like a 45-minute limit. One question that Amy asked is, are there benefits to using Zoom versus Teams? One benefit, so I was poking around earlier with it. It's kind of like weighing what you want to deal with, essentially. So with Teams, you do have the option to to record, and it will go to the cloud, so that's not directly onto your computer, which is nice. You get that same benefit with a paid Trillium account, and you don't have to like go through any hassle of, you know, signing up for a paid account. It's right there in your Teams account. I could see that being a benefit to using, especially if you want to avoid any of the login issues and bumping people out, is using Teams and recording there, because you'll have access to the meeting in a cloud. The only thing that I could see really being a drawback is if you are trying to do video recordings of yourself, and you want to be able to easily access those videos, and they're shorter clips or whatnot that you're compiling for, you know, what have you. Teams isn't the most user-friendly to be able to access those videos as quickly. So like, let's say, you know, I'm doing a presentation and I need a video where it's 2 minutes long and I have an intro, and then I have another one that's 3 minutes long and it's a segue, and then another one that's 2 minutes long and it's an outro. And in between those three, I have, you know, something else that I stick in there. I have to go through a bunch of extra steps to be able to download those videos and have them on my computer, where with my Zoom free account, I could have just I could have started a meeting, hit record, started giving my spiel, and it's going to download immediately to my computer, to where I could throw it into whatever video editing program I wanted to. So that's the only really like known advantage or disadvantage over one of the two. Let's see. Jamie's comment, wait, like a filter so you can look better. So touching back on what I said with the two buttons that you could click under the video for touch up and higher definition, it's really to make you look less pixelized. It's not going to be like a Snapchat filter, unfortunately. Yeah, darn. So Amy, did that answer your question about like the advantages versus using Zoom or Teams? Cool. Yeah, I mean, over the last couple of days, I've used Teams a bit more, and it's definitely something, if you're going to be doing staff meetings like we're going to have to be doing, and a lot of people are logging in and files might need to be shared, and or you have a specific team that's working together on a project, Teams is probably going to be the way to go. But if you're going to be doing, you know, some individual work where you're recording yourself and whatnot, that might be a little bit easier in Zoom. We're getting close. Are there any other questions? No?
I do have one actually I just thought of.
Sure.
So if I set a meeting for like an hour, but then we're going and it actually needs more, is it automatically going to log us out and I have to go do another one, or does it let you keep going?
I want to say it lets you keep going. I did a lunch and learn last year where I was leading and I was the host, and I was going over time. And the only reason why I realized I was going over time is because someone started texting me and telling me that I was going over time. Like, it didn't, you know, boot me out or anything. So I think it's really the scheduling portion of it isn't. I don't think it has anything to do with the recording and, you know, putting a time limit on it that way. It's just to block it out. Because Christina says, I think it lets you keep going because if there is someone waiting in an account and they won't be able to log in until you complete the meeting. Yeah. Cool. Or they can't start their meeting. Yeah. So being very aware of the time as well is important. Also, if you haven't used Teams yet, they have some pretty sweet gifts in there, just so you know. All right, well, if there's no further questions, then that's all I've got for you guys today. If anything does come up and you do have questions, again, I sent the link to Zoom, but it's zoom.us. And then YouTube is also a great resource for free for everybody. Cool. I hope everybody stays healthy and sane. Hope to see you all again soon. Bye.